Hi everyone! Today is the day that I finally get around to pruning this large quince I have been talking about in previous videos. It's the mid of December, we have about +3 degrees this afternoon, that's about 37 degrees Fahrenheit, and temperatures are not going to get any higher. We have a little bit of sunshine this afternoon occasionally, so I want to really get this finished today. As you can see on the ground we had a tiny bit of snow, but still this is nothing compared to what you guys had like in the UK and in the States, for example. I've seen the news. So whilst the situation is like that, let's make a start on this quince. So the story about this quince is that this used to be actually a lot larger, and what we did when we bought this place, we completely chopped it down because it was completely overgrown and way too old. But because the rootstock was still in the ground, this one just started to grow out again. And this is why this quince has fairly thin branches, as you can see. And they are just equally distributed on the ground, so just really growing out straight from the rootstock. And my plan for today is the following. You can see that this quince is fairly tall and this has not been pruned in forever, I must admit. So my plan is to bring it to a way smaller size, also to prepare it for future pruning. So I will take it back more than the final shape will be, or the final size will be. And what I want to do, I want to achieve something like an informal cut, but a well-rounded cut. That means towards the fence end, I will make it a bit higher, so probably approximately about the fence height. And then I want it to slope down and be lower towards the front. I do not want like an even cut all the way around, so I'll just flow with it and see how it goes with the existing branch structure. The tools I'm using today are my secateurs, which you may have seen in previous videos. I usually use them for maple pruning, and they are a very good all-rounder tool. And as a second tool, I will be using these branch cutters. So they're just normal branch cutters. They do actually extend. This one goes easier, you see, like that. So which will provide a longer arm for me, literally, because I won't be able to reach the back of the bush with the secateurs. And also I tend to work a little bit faster with those branch cutters as I do with the secateurs. And we will only have above 0 degrees for a couple of hours. So I need to get done with this. I'm going to be laying out a plastic sheet. That's to collect all the branches and to drag them up, because our pile where we collect cut branches is at the other end of the garden, so like the opposite corner, and that makes it easier for us to get things from one place to the other. So the way I approach a large bush like this with pruning is actually I try to envisage the final shape. And normally I'd start more from the top, but in that case I can't do that, and I do it the way that I start on the side here and work my way up, really, always having this final picture in mind, which is again the bush here being like lower and then sloping up higher towards the back, and then doing a slight rounded shape towards the fence. So I try to keep this in mind, and by doing that enables me to place my cuts at the right spots. Obviously this is not a formal cut, so that means where exactly I cut I'm more or less eyeballing. I just do it by feeling, really, and again by keeping that picture of the final shape in my mind. Normally with these type of shrubs, so a quince, this is a Japanese flowering quince, is a shrub that blooms in springtime, and normally shrubs that bloom you would prune after blooming. That's so that more blooms can develop in that same season for the coming year. What I'm doing now is essentially, you see here, sacrificing blooms that have that will start in spring, but I'm aware of that, so that's fine with me. For me, it's more important to get this bush under control again. And also what is important when pruning Japanese quinces, you can see it here, they have thorns, which is not necessarily visible just looking at it. And you see they have quite big thorns, so I'm being very careful as well. Pruning I do in this bush is somewhat casual regarding the cuts I do. So I'll show you a close-up here. And you see there are two buds, like one here and one here. And I just make a cut in the middle. So above a bud really. I do not cut as precise here on this bush as I do with Japanese maples, for example. That's different. So here it's just fine to cut above a bud and that will be fine in spring and grow out again.
Why is it different?
It's just the Japanese maples, they are more susceptible to diseases. You know, when cuts are not very precise, I always try to be very precise with Japanese maples. This bush is a very old shrub that has an old rootstock and is established. So I'm not really worried about the bush. But anyway, how you would cut that or a shrub of that type, this would be anyway a normal cut to do that way. So just cutting a little bit above the bud. If you would cut here, for example, or even closer, if I can show you like that, that's all right, but I would consider that a little bit too close to the bud actually. So I'd always keep a little bit of distance so that this additional piece could die back to the bud. If you cut too close or even into the bud like so, that bud may not survive. So if you remember from previous videos, this is where we took the hedge out and transplanted it to the other side of the fence. And now that this shrub is being pruned back, you can see how much space this creates here. So we may want to, in spring, think about planting something else actually along the fence here. Maybe a smaller shrub, just to cover that hole we have now. Oh, that's a thorn. And now looking at this first bit that I pruned, you can start to see the shape I'm going for. You see from being lower down here, starting to go up like this. And I will just follow my line that I envisage and the shape that I keep in my head, working my way all the way up into the back. Here, this one is a separate tree that's growing in here. Well, that must have been here for quite a while. So we're gonna have to chop that out at some point at the bottom. This is nothing I can do with the secateurs. And also what I'm trying to do whilst I prune here is to actually clean up the bush a little bit by pruning branches that are growing like crossing each other. And I'm just trying to find one I can show you maybe over there so you can see that. So you see here this for example, those two, they're crossing all the other branches and growing to the back. So I'm chopping them at the front here anyway to keep them to the size I want to have them at. This is another example. This is not very nice. You see, this is okay, this bit, but that branch grows like across the other ones and towards the back or the side. So here I'm actually gonna do a cut down here to shorten that branch. So maybe some of you wonder why I prune this shrub at this time of the year. The reason is really because I didn't get around during the year to pruning this one because we had so much other work. Normally, I personally prefer pruning during the season, so when the temperatures are warmer. That's because I just find it more convenient. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter when you prune for most shrubs. It really depends on personal preference and what you want to achieve. Now, for example, this shrub here, as I mentioned earlier, it's a blossoming shrub. and it builds or it blooms in springtime. So now if you want in the next year the same amount of blooms, you would prune it after it blossoms, so that new blossoms can, or new buds can build for the next year. Now what I'm doing, I'm chopping away a lot of buds that have developed during this growing season because I'm pruning this shrub now, which I'm aware about and I'm fine with for the coming year. Other things, if you want to, for example, encourage growth on a shrub, I'd recommend pruning in springtime to get at least one more flush of growth. Also, you can prune during the summer. And if you want to keep a certain shape during the entire winter, for example, which we try to do with most of our evergreen shrubs, so we would prune them maybe at the beginning of the season and then maybe another time at the end of the summer or early autumn when the main growing season has finished and stopped. And that means those shrubs would maintain their pruned shape over the winter. So for us, this is about, I would say, from when it stops growing to when it starts again, at least half a year, which makes everything look nice for a longer time in the garden. So it's really totally up to you when you decide to prune. Another good reason why I think many people prefer pruning in winter time or late autumn is because the shrubs do not have any leaves on, so for deciduous shrubs. And that enables you to see the branch structure better and makes it easier. Like I have comments sometimes about Japanese maple pruning in summer where people say that I prune when the leaves are on, and it does make it harder to prune with the leaves on. But also here I prefer seeing the whole picture of the maple, so with leaves on I'm pruning, as opposed to just seeing the branch structure with the Japanese maples. So this is why I usually prune during the growing season and not in winter so much. So I've changed to the branch cutters because I can reach further in. And here I wanted to show you some fruit. So this quince, it's a flowering quince, so it's not supposed to develop fruit, but sometimes they do. And these are like the dried fruit from the season. But they're gonna go together with that entire branch. And next, let's put it here for now. And next I'm taking out this big tree that does not belong here. At least the top branches. I don't think I'm gonna get through the main trunk with these cutters. We may have to do this another time, but at least the top ones are gone. So it is getting muddy here, as you can see on my shoes walking around. Temperatures are still above 0 or above 32 Fahrenheit. But Adam is clever because he went back to the house and got his wellies, which certainly makes sense. I should ask Santa for a pair of wellies. Because this is not ideal with my trainers. Anyway, let's keep going. And you can see now that it's starting to take shape. So I hope you understand also better what I mean with envisaging this final picture. And now it becomes visible to which shape I'm going. What's with this one? Ah, yes, that's crossing, isn't it? Not very nice. So chop this. And also the other reason I changed to the branch cutters is because the branches are getting thicker back there, and there's only a certain maximum thickness you can cut or should cut with secateurs. So if the branch is getting too thick, I do not use the secateurs because it could damage the blade. And also you see how I drag out the branches I cut. That's the advantage of these branch cutters with the long handles as well. I have worked my way around at the bottom, pretty much all the way to the end. The last little bit is just back here at the fence. And you can see now from your angle the shape that is starting to show. This is the last turn I'm doing, working at the lower part of it. And we don't want this shrub to grow even more into the fence. You can see at the back that the branches are really have started to grow along the fence because they couldn't grow through. So now this is why I'm taking it in a little bit more, and I will round it a little bit more going this way before we start working on the top bits. So this again I'm doing with the secateurs because the branches are a little thinner in this area, and it's a more precise way of working really, as opposed to with the branch cutters. So you can place your blade more easily at the spot you want, as opposed to with the branch cutters, you know, reaching in. This is not that accurate, which for me, for this shrub, is okay. The point where I'm cutting here, like up there, is my highest point of the shrub, so about here. And so you can see I worked my way up to this point, and from here going down towards the fence I will start to get lower again with the cuts to tie it in with this slight rounded shape I wanted at the back here. I'm pretty much halfway in. I'm actually surprised that I can walk like this, and you know, so I cut it back a little more than I anticipated in order to reach these branches, because I cannot reach them from the front. So that works better than I thought it would. And you can see now that I'm coming down here again from this highest point, and about here, this is where I want to stop it along the fence. So this is about fence height, as I mentioned in the beginning, and this is okay for me now. Over time I will probably have to do some correction cuts in spring or summertime, because this is not perfect. You can still see there are some crossing branches here or there, but I do not want to sacrifice too much of the branch structure at this point, because I'm pruning so much away anyway. Okay, I'll get you later. Alright, let me go back out and have a look. This is something I didn't mention yet in this video, but in case you've seen my other videos, I always say go back and have a look when you prune to avoid pruning mistakes. Oh, this is still attached. Okay. So let's step back and have a look and see where we still need to cut. Okay, first this little bit here. Let's need some shortening. We have done it, except for this one branch, which I'm gonna cut last. It's all finished, which is good timing because it's getting cold, it's starting to freeze, you can feel the fingers getting really cold, and we have a big mud bath here. I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna clean my shoes today, but I'll work that out later. So now let's have a look. The shape I was talking about at the beginning being slightly lower here with a curve, so curving in towards the bottom a little bit, coming up, and then in a flat kind of slight curve going up to the top and then slightly curving down towards the back again. So this is how I tried to describe it at the beginning, and I think it went pretty well with the shape I had envisaged. As I said, this is how I do it. I just try to envisage it when pruning these kind of bushes. My chin is starting to freeze as well. And if you say this is not something I can do, what you can do is, for example, use strings, for example, to give you some kind of references when you prune these kind of shapes. Now, let me try to go in and work out how to cut this branch, because that's one. I cannot reach from the back properly and I can't reach from the front. So, but before I do, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And there will be one more video before Christmas for you, so make sure you check out and for new videos. And now let me try to cut this last one. Okay, I'll try from here. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Oh yeah.